Yes, we'd better tell them. This is a brand new day. Don't leave it up to the other man or to another day. Take your life into your hands. Make it work out your way. It's not the number of times you stumble down and fall upon the ground. It's the number of times you pick yourself up, keep on moving on to meet your goals. Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Herbert Harris. Hey, Sade. Jay Stepp, thank you for joining us. Wow, I'm happy to be back. I spent the weekend at the family reunion. And let me tell you something, folks. Reunions are amazing, but the Spalding family is one of the most amazing families. And we had about 350 people there. And the theme throughout the reunion was economic development and entrepreneurship. The Spalding family has been a family that really achieved their freedom in 1799 in North Carolina. And they always had to fend for themselves, build for themselves, and they were the founders of the North Carolina Mutual Insurance Company. And so that was just amazing. That was founded in 1898, and for a long period, that was the largest African-American owned corporation in the country. Some of the other great things, even we visited the George Henry White Museum, and George Henry White was the last congressman of color after the Civil War. He represented North Carolina, and he left Congress in 1901 due to redistricting, some of the stuff we see right now. And there was another there was not another black congressman in representing our state for 92 years. And I just give that preface because in spending the weekend with the family, one of the things that was talked about was economic resilience and understanding wealth. We actually went and visited the country where the family came from, and over 60,000 acres at different times were in control of the Spalding family. And so one of the things that we talked about this weekend was actually based on our book, The 12 Universal Laws of Success. But one of the things we talked about was to get a better understanding of wealth, of how to accumulate wealth and what wealth really means. And so today I decided to pull from chapter 8 in the 12 Universal Laws of Success, the law of value. And wealth is really value. If you think about this, wealth is accumulated value. We often talk about solving the riddle of survival, where you are actually able to create enough assets or enough income from your investments, from your business, to take care of you in the lifestyle that you're accustomed indefinitely. That's a powerful thought, folks. In other words, your money is taking care of you instead of you hustling for your money. Now, let me share this. There's some principles of wealth building, and these principles are very sacred. Once we understand the principles of wealth building, then we can now engage upon the process of freeing ourselves from the day-to-day rat race of trying to survive, living day-to-day, paycheck to paycheck. So the 4 principles of wealth building. Number 1, and we're looking at page 152 and 153 in the 12 Universal Laws of Success. The first principle of wealth building is the earning principle. All wealth is created in the mind. The earning principle covers the exchange of value required to create sufficient income to meet your needs. The exchange of value required to create sufficient income to meet your needs. And what we're really saying is earn as much as possible, but the secret to earning is you give value. What you say, baby, from Mississippi, thanks for joining us. Hakeem, thanks for joining us. All right, hey, Dawn, thanks for joining us. And Robert, beautiful. Thanks for joining us. So when we talk about exchanging value, for example, Dawn is in the area of customer service. And so when you interact with a company, companies survive on the value that they deliver to their customers. If a customer doesn't think you're delivering value, they're out of there. In your life, when you deliver value, you get paid accordingly. So when you have a job, the reason that you have a job is that an employer has something that they need to have done, and you have the ability, the skill set to do it. And so that's an exchange of value, the earning principle. And so it also depends now on your skill level and your experience level. And so when you're working for somebody else, you're a part of somebody else's dream, and they pay you based on what they need you to do for them. And guess what? They only pay you just enough to keep you from quitting. So in order to earn more, you must give more value. And that's one of the great things about education. You learn a skill, you learn knowledge is powerful, a skill set. When you have a skill, sometimes the skill is more powerful than education. You look around today. I was talking with my friend Tony Foreign Cars, and Tony was saying that today, in today's market, it's hard to get a mechanic, and they're paying $35 an hour. An 8-hour day, that's what, over $250 a day. And it's still difficult to find mechanics who have a skill level that Tony can accept, that can keep his customers happy. So it always goes to value. So the earning principle says this: develop your skills level, develop your education level, develop your knowledge level as high as possible, because you will also always be paid in direct proportion to your skills level, the value you are to somebody else, somebody else's business, somebody else's agenda. Underlying the earning principle is the time. So think about this. A person working in a $10 an hour job has to work 4 hours to make as much as a person who's getting paid $35 an hour can earn in 1 hour. And so the earning principle really is the foundational principle, because it helps you understand that the more value you bring, the more you're paid. The second principle is the spending principle. The spending principle covers the manner in which you spend, circulate, or otherwise dispose of your money. And so your spending, Sandra always talks about budget, that if you don't have a budget, you're going to probably be poor all your life. So the spending principle is the resources, the money that you generate through the earning principle now. How do you allocate that money? Do you spend it on frivolous, worthless things, or do you exchange it for things that are valuable to you? Once again, it's always about exchange of value. So spend your money. Now, let me back up. I don't even like the term spend, because spend gives the connotation that it's gone forever. And for many people, it's gone forever. When I worked for Reverend Ike had a saying. He said, money talks, and to many people, based on how they spend, it only says goodbye. So the spending principle says, exchange the benefits, the results of your earning for things that are important, for things that are worthwhile, for things of value. And that brings the idea, don't spend your money, circulate your money. So now when you send money out, and so instead of spend, let's call it send. When you send money out into the universe, you send it out with an expectation of return. If it doesn't bring you a return, then you're wasting it. So the spending principle is powerful because it requires discipline. It requires a vision. If you have no vision, if you have no goals, then you have no standard by which to judge your spending. And so you can be very consumed with immediate gratification. So the spending principle, the circulating principle is how do you circulate your money to get the maximum bang for the buck, to get the maximum value. Then we have the savings principle. Now we're coming home now, folks. The savings principle covers the accumulation of surplus, the difference between your income and your expenses. So the saving principle says that earn more, spend less, save more. So the saving principle now requires that you have an understanding of what is your ground zero. What is the level of money that you need to maintain yourself and your family at a level that's comfortable? I call that ground zero. And so once you establish your ground zero, then you can adjust your earning. You can say, you know what, my ground zero, I need to make $2,500 a month. Okay. Then if that's my ground zero, then my earning has to be at least $2,500 a month. But the saving principle says, you know what, you need to earn $3,000 a month or $3,500 a month. And the reason is, as long as your earnings exceed your spending, then you can save more. So the saving principle says, save a portion of what you earn. I'll give a caveat to that. Pay yourself first. Many times we say, at the end of the day, after I've taken care of all of my bills, and I'll have something to save. That's a trap, folks, because you'll never have anything at the end of the day. When you pay yourself first, you say, now I'm making $1,000 a week. Okay, I want to save 15% for the future. So let me consider the savings goals as a part of my expenses, so that my ground zero has the savings goals already embedded in it. So when you get that $1,000 a week, you put $150 into the savings portion. 4 weeks, that means you have $600 a month. Now it's meaningful. At the end of the year, at $600 a month, you know, if you follow that, you'll have $7,200 and more. So the saving principle is powerful. We say that you should have enough money set aside to take care of you for at least 6 months. Because you know what we've learned from this pandemic is stuff happens. We have no control over a lot of that, but we do have control over how we respond to it. So have enough savings set aside to cover at least 6 months of your expenses. How do you know how much you need? Is because you have your ground zero. You see how this is going? You have to know what you need to have it even set aside enough to save and to have your backup for the future. So now the fourth principle is the investing principle. The investing principle covers the allocation of surplus to increase your wealth and income. For those who just joined, we were reading from page 152 of the 12 Universal Laws of Success. This investing principle is your freedom ticket. You see, until we learn how to invest our money, we will never get to the point where our money takes care of us. And that's the essence of solving the riddle of survival, that you don't have to exchange time and energy for money just to survive. That you've covered that by we say solving the riddle of survival by developing and creating enough surplus and investing that surplus. You see, money is magnetic. Money attracts money. And so when you look at the investing principle, just on a practical level, let's say you've set aside enough cash and fluid cash to take care of 6 months of expenses for you and your family. Then above that, now you can start to invest. And invest, you know, it doesn't matter. Like one of my friends said, well, I don't have enough to invest. Doesn't matter. The power of compound interest and accumulation says invest a little bit, invest what you have. If you invest $100 a month for 20 years, you'll have over $100,000. I have the numbers. I was just looking. I had a little chart here. If you invest $100 a month at a return of 12%, that's maybe a little high now. But in 20 years, you'll have $98,000. In 30 years, you'll have $349,000. And so the idea of investing is to set aside money where the money is working for you. Don't look for get rich quick schemes. You don't get rich overnight. You don't even go broke overnight. But the point is, this investing principle is the principle that will take you out of poverty. Will take you out of, people can be poor making $100,000 a year. If you're making $100,000 a year and spending $100,000, you're poor. If you're making $100,000 and spending 105, that's the power of credit cards. This system is set up to encourage you to spend more than you earn. And so when you look at your credit cards, if you really factor it out, you're making $100,000 a year and you're spending $110,000 a year between the credit card interest and the credit cards. So frankly, you're broke. So let's put it all together, folks. These 4 principles say this. To generate, number 1, the earning principle, to generate sufficient income in a manner that supports your goals. Wisely exchange your time, your knowledge, your energy to generate this income. In other words, make as much as possible by giving as much value as possible. Circulate this income in a manner consistent with your goals. If you want to buy a house, then you need a down payment, factor that in. When you do that, you empower yourself and others. Pay yourself first as a means to create surplus, your savings. Put a portion of your savings to work in self-generating investments that create growth and income. So make as much as possible. Spend as little as possible. Save as much as possible. Invest the surplus over your savings, what do we call it? Your nest egg, so that your investments can generate more. Spend less than you earn. Save what you do not spend. Invest a portion of what you save to help you generate more. From moment to moment, with every dime, with every penny, ask yourself, what is the best use of my money right now when I consider my goals, my vision, and my purpose? Thanks, Quentin. Thank you. Rock Dude, thanks for joining us. Terry, thanks for joining us. Iva, thanks for joining us. See, I wanted to share this today because after spending the weekend with the family, it's so important that you solve the riddle of survival. Otherwise, you will always be on the treadmill. And when we understand the wealth building principles, you have something that is profound and can take you from where you are to where you want to be. Wow, folks, this has been Dr. Herbert Harris, and we went a little longer today but I wanted to get this over to you because this is the secret to take you out of the rat race. This is the secret to take you to your dreams, to your goals. The great Russell Hemphill. Russell was my driver for a number of years in New York. See, Russell was no joke. He was something like out of a comic book. He was always suited and booted and always wore a bowler. And Russell said this. He said, when your outflow, what you're spending, exceeds your income, what you're making, your upkeep, your lifestyle, becomes your downfall. And we see it so often. Once again, this is Dr. Herbert Harris, and I want to remind everybody, we're starting the month of August, and we're wrapping up our new book, putting it together. And those of you who would like to share part of your story in our new book, email me at herbertharris.com. Herbert, Herbert at herbertharris.com. And I'll get you some information about being a part of this new book. Thank you for your comments, Don. Thank you so much. So, folks, once again, Dr. Herbert Harris and Motivation Monday. It's all about solving the riddle of survival. You can be what you want to be. You can do what you want to do. You can have whatever you want to have, always knowing that the best is yet to come. And so it is. I guess we'd better tell them, this is a brand new day. Don't leave it up to the other man or to another day. Take your life into your hands. Make it work out your way. It's not the number of times you stumble down and fall upon the ground. It's the number of times you pick yourself up and keep on moving on to meet your goals. All right, folks, thank you so much. Join us every Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern for Motivation Monday to help you learn how to fly, to help you be what you want to be, to help you do what you want to do, to help you have whatever you desire, always knowing that the best is yet